I mean, I think first you let the investigation proceed, conclude, and then the Department of Justice, Secret Service, FBI need to be completely transparent. I mean, completely transparent. They haven't been so in the past, so that we can take a look at that and so the American people can have comfort that this has been fully investigated and we know exactly what happened here.
We've learned that the shooter was 20 years old. He's from Western Pennsylvania. His name was Thomas Matthew Crooks. He was a registered Republican. He gave $15 to a Democratic-aligned group. Other than that, we don't know much more about him, those of us in the public. Do you know anything more?
No, but you know, one thing I do know, and this was one of my first reactions, you know, when it happened so fast, you know, I turned on the TV, the incident was over, you could see that President Trump was okay, we didn't know about the deceased person at the time. But my first thought was, President Trump knew exactly the risks he was taking running for re-election. He knew he'd be vilified, he probably didn't understand the full extent of lawfare, he realized his life would be at risk. But he did it anyway, and you know why, Jake? Because President Trump loves this country. And that's the other thing I would say about his supporters, those rally-goers. If there's one attribute that Trump supporters have in common, they fervently love this country. And so if the rest of America can understand that about Donald Trump, about the people who support Donald Trump, I think they love this country as well. There's a good place to start the healing and unification of this country. We need to understand that about each other.
You were already concerned about the security situation at the convention this week in your home state here of Wisconsin. What additional precautions are you urging the Secret Service to take? And are you confident Milwaukee will be safe this week?
Well, they already did respond to the concern we had with the gathering area. They've moved that away. They've listed out parade routes. I know there's a lot of manpower here, and that's the first step to security. You have to have people, law enforcement present to deter any kind of violence. So again, Wisconsinites, I told you before the show, you know, Minnesota nice, Wisconsin even nicer. We're nice people. I'm not concerned about Wisconsin citizens. I'd be concerned about outside agitators. But obviously, I think this is just going to heighten security, and it needs to be heightened.
You said something about how we all love our country, and I think it's generally true. Most Americans do love their country. One thing that I have found upsetting, if I can editorialize for 1 second, is the degree to which so many Americans claim to love their country but hate their fellow Americans. And I'm not talking about Republicans or Democrats. I see it everywhere. Everywhere, and I'm wondering if that's something that concerns you too.
It does. That's what I said. The greatest threat to our nation right now is we're horribly divided. But again, in general, we share the same goals. So, you know, why are we so divided? Well, there are political figures, there are political groups. I would argue that's what identity politics is about. That's what critical race theory is about. So there are people who are purposely trying to divide us for political advantage. Resist it. Don't let them get away with it. And again, start talking to each other. That's part of the problem with social media today is we've lost that sense of community. You know, these civic organizations, they're not as robust as they used to be. And everybody, you know, it's awful easy to get pretty nasty on social media. And that ends up being kind of how we socialize. We need to get out in our community and again, find the areas of agreement. You know, acknowledge the fact that we do love this country, that America's something precious. It needs to be preserved, but the only way you preserve it is if we can unify and heal it.
Senator Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin, thank you for being here. Come back. We'll be here all week.